Hello and welcome to Rough Cut Film. Apologies for I haven't had any new releases out recently. Unfortunately, this has been a problem getting to the cinema, and unfortunately, it's live stuff keeps getting in the way as it tends to. I've actually been watching Netflix a lot recently, just because I've been unable to get to the cinema. But I've tended to be watching documentaries for some reason, and I had to think about putting some of these into some reviews, but I'm not sure about the format. So, for example, I've seen Enron, the smartest guys in the room. So what I might do is squidge all these documentaries into one podcast, YouTube video, and just do a quick synopsis and what I thought of them, because I've seen some good documentaries actually. But there we go. I've also got coming up, I'll be reviewing Skyfall, hopefully by the weekend, and I'm going to follow that up with a James Bond special. So I'm not the biggest Bond fan, to be honest. I did enjoy it as a kid. Casino Royale was fantastic. So what I'm going to do, as a bit of an outsider, is, or not as big a nerd as I am on other things, is sit down and watch. There's 20 odd of them, aren't there? I'll see if I can get through them, and then I'm just going to come up with, a bit of a synopsis of what makes a good Bond film, what makes a bad Bond film, who's a good James Bond, who's a bad James Bond. So it's all going to be, as always, my personal opinion, but I think it might be a bit interesting to do along with the review of the new one. So, what I'm actually aiming to do with this video review is actually I wanted to talk about The Cabin in the Woods. It's a film that I saw 3 or 4 times in the cinema, which is, absolutely unheard of. And I saw it again on Blu-ray. I actually went to help a friend out, try and put his projector up and get it working. We failed with that, but luckily he had a very nice quality LCD TV, so we saw it. Looked absolutely fantastic, and our failure to get something to work was sort of irrelevant, really. So interestingly, actually, this was filmed in 2009, but it wasn't released, and it's featuring the now pretty famous Chris Hemsworth, who was the lead in Thor. And he was the huntsman in Snow White and the Huntsman. So since then, he's actually done very well for himself. So the film kicks off with 5 tremendously generic teens heading out to the cabin in the woods. Horror fans will recognise this as the cabin from the Evil Dead films. I'm a very big horror film fan. The original Evil Dead films, John Carpenter and the Elm Street films, these are the sorts of things I grew up with. And The Cabin in the Woods is just jam-packed of little references that nerdy people like me really pick up on and really get, quite a sad sense of, excitement out of. So this is actually a Joss Whedon film, and in the past, so Joss Whedon, he's made, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Serenity, and the Firefly, the series it was based on. Joss Whedon is someone who tends to divide opinion between people that have never heard of him and people who absolutely love him. I think he's, pretty great, but, he has made some missteps in his career. But he has absolutely meticulously researched the horror genre for this film, which is very important. It's difficult to talk about the film really without giving away a twist or two, which I'm loath to do, and I'm hopefully not going to do here. The film serves as an analysis of the horror genre. So it's not entirely the same, but the only point of reference really I can think of is the original Scream film, which came out and was very self-aware and very deliberately so. The Cabin in the Woods is extremely clever. Joss Whedon always is clever, and I'd argue sometimes actually a little bit too clever for his own good. I think since he's made The Cabin in the Woods, he's probably learned his lesson, because he's made the Avengers, and that's made, more money. Avengers Assemble has made more money than all of the other component series put together. So the Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, if you put all of those films together, his film, combining them all, has made more money. So that's a staggering feat, really. So The Cabin in the Woods, what can I say? Negatives. Well, the pacing is pretty uneven at times. It can be a bit up and down. And what you're trying to do really is you're shoehorning a very clever-eyed concept, but you've got to work a plot into that. So sometimes it sort of falls down. In the same way as I think Ian McEwan books do, actually, where there can be a very clever idea. However, the plot can suffer as a bit of a consequence of that because it's got to fit into this structure. So hopefully that doesn't give anything away. Some of the acting is fairly poor. Some of this I think is a little bit deliberate. But actually, still, when we're watching, I'm a little bit unsure. There's a stoner character who is, it's sort of the Scooby-Doo gang. He's Shaggy. He's got a very strange voice, and he's really irritating. I'm pretty sure that so these four kids and this stoner guy, they're sexy teens and the stoner. They're driving to this very desolate cabin in a camper van, a Winnebago thing, and the whole way through it seems that the stoner character is making comments about weed, and they all sort of go ha 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 ha, and you think, oh blimey, that would wear thin pretty quickly. We get it, you like weed, and you don't have anything else to you, but that's fine. It's it's imperfect, but there we go. So I think the funniest and the best dialogue of the film comes from the two white collar workers we see in the opening reel. So the film isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. At times it's awkward and a bit cumbersome, but it's incredibly rare that I see a film that I get this excited about, and I see a lot of films. And if you do see it, I'd be very interested to hear what your opinions are, because I think the question for me is, as you leave the cinema or see it again on Blu-ray, is this film, is Joss Whedon, is he accidentally patronising the horror genre? Because it's very much a love note to the genre, but does he actually? He's paying it with respect, but I think at times that can come across as slightly patronising. I think it's an interesting little point. It's a film you will probably appreciate. You might not necessarily enjoy it the whole way through, which sounds an odd thing to say, but there's an awful lot of stuff in here, and it's probably best you see it. Say you see it Tuesday night. You then spend Wednesday thinking about it and just mulling it over in your head and letting all the pieces fall in place, because there's a lot to it, and it's whether you like it or not, it's a very, very interesting film.